She told me it was just a weekend getaway with her old college friends. Nothing to worry about. You're being paranoid again, Ethan. It's not like I'm running off with some guy. So I didn't fight it. I nodded, said have a safe trip, and then booked myself into the same lakeside resort with Sarah, a coworker I'd always gotten along with a little too well. That night, while my girlfriend sat by the fire pit laughing with her friends, including the ex she swore she hadn't spoken to in years, I walked past their circle holding Sarah's hand. She didn't speak to me for the rest of the weekend. Instead, she spent hours locked in her cabin, crying loud enough that the front desk got concerned. Her ex ended up covering the extra charges she racked up at the bar. A couple weeks later, she finally admitted the truth. The whole trip had been organized around him. He'd been paying for half her drinks and activities, thinking they were on the verge of getting back together. When I showed up with someone else, the fantasy collapsed, and he walked away from whatever future he'd been imagining. I'm 32, project manager for a mid-sized construction firm, pulling in about $110K most years. I've been with Lauren for just over 7 months. She's 29, works as a graphic designer for a boutique agency downtown. Creative, outgoing, always talking about collaborations and pop-up events. She's got this ex from college, Dylan. They dated for 4 years, lived together senior year, the whole intense thing. Broke up right after graduation when he moved to Chicago for a job and she stayed here. They reconnected about a year ago when he transferred back to the area for a senior role at a bigger design firm. Lauren insisted it was purely professional at first, shared contacts, potential freelance gigs, that kind of thing. I believed her. I'm not the jealous type by nature, and I didn't want to start off a relationship by laying down rules about who she could talk to. But it escalated fast. Late-night texts about font choices that somehow lasted until 2 a.m. coffee meetups that turned into 3-hour brainstorming sessions. Invites to industry mixers where they'd arrive together and leave together while I sat home scrolling through photos of them laughing in someone's Instagram story. Every time I mentioned it bothered me, she'd tilt her head, give me that soft, disappointed look, and say things like, "I need you to trust me, Ethan. If you can't handle me having history with someone in my field, that says more about your confidence than my behavior." It stung because part of me worried she was right. Maybe I was being insecure. Maybe real adults didn't police their partners' friendships, so I swallowed it, told myself I was overreacting, and tried to focus on the good parts of us. Weekend hikes, cooking together, the way she'd fall asleep on my shoulder during movies. Then came the long weekend in early fall. Lauren mentioned casually on Tuesday that a group of her old college friends had rented a cluster of cabins up at Lake Harmon for Columbus Day weekend. "It's been planned for months," she said, stirring pasta sauce without looking at me. "Just a low-key reunion thing. Bonfires, kayaking, catching up." "Who all is going?" I asked, keeping my voice neutral. "The usual crew, Jess, Marco, Priya, and Dylan's coming up for part of it since he's in town now." She said it like she was mentioning the weather. I set my fork down. "Dylan's going to be there the whole weekend?" "Not the whole weekend. He's driving up Saturday morning, leaving Sunday night. It's not a big deal. You're spending 2 nights in cabins with your ex and a bunch of mutual friends. That feels like a big deal to me." She turned off the burner and faced me, arms crossed. "Ethan, we're all adults. Nothing is going to happen. We're friends. That's it. You're making this weird." "I'm not trying to make anything weird. I'm just saying it makes me uncomfortable." "Then maybe you need to work on that discomfort instead of trying to control who I spend time with." There it was again, that word, control. Delivered softly, almost sympathetically, like I was the one with the problem. We went back and forth for a while. She insisted it was a group trip, that separate cabins had been booked, that I was welcome to come if I wanted, but it would change the vibe, since most people didn't know me yet. I told her I didn't want to crash her reunion, but I also didn't love the idea of her sharing a weekend getaway with Dylan. She sighed, said she wasn't going to let my insecurities ruin a tradition she'd kept for years. By Thursday night, the plans were locked in. She was leaving Friday after work, coming back Monday afternoon. I kissed her goodbye Friday morning like everything was fine, told her to text me when she got there safely as soon as her car pulled out of the driveway. I opened my laptop and checked the resort website. There were still a few cabins available, smaller ones, but close to the cluster she'd described. I booked one for Saturday and Sunday night without overthinking it. Then I texted Sarah. Sarah works in accounting at my firm. We'd grabbed coffee a few times to vent about deadlines, gone for drinks once or twice after site visits. She's sharp, easy to talk to, single, and had mentioned a couple months earlier that she'd always wanted to see the fall colors up north. I figured if Lauren wanted to test boundaries, I could test some too. Hey, random question, are you free this weekend? I snagged a last-minute cabin up at Lake Harmon. Thought it might be nice to get out of the city for a couple days. She responded within minutes. Seriously? I'm off all weekend. That sounds perfect. Cool. I'll pick you up Saturday morning. Works for me. Should I pack hiking stuff? Definitely. Friday night I packed light, jeans, sweaters, boots. Told myself this wasn't about revenge. It was about not sitting home feeling like a chump while my girlfriend spent a weekend with her ex. If she could insist everything was innocent, then I could spend time with a friend too. Saturday morning I picked Sarah up at 9. She climbed into my truck with coffee and a playlist ready. We talked the whole drive about work drama, her disastrous attempt at sourdough, my ongoing battle with fantasy football. Felt easy. No eggshells, no defensiveness. We checked into our cabin around noon, dropped our bags, and headed to the main lodge for lunch. The resort was spread out. Dozens of cabins dotted along the shoreline, connected by gravel paths. I knew roughly where Lauren's group was staying from the photos she'd posted Thursday night. A cluster near the East Fire Pit. After lunch we rented kayaks. The lake was glass calm, leaves blazing red and orange along the banks. Sarah and I paddled side by side, racing a little, laughing when we both got stuck in the same patch of reeds. Around 4 we pulled the kayaks ashore near the public beach and walked toward the trails. That's when I saw them. Lauren was sitting on a blanket near the water with 3 other women I recognized from old photos, Jess and Priya among them. Dylan was there too, stretched out on his side, tossing a frisbee back and forth with Marco. Lauren had on an oversized sweater and leggings, hair in a messy bun, laughing at something Dylan just said. Sarah noticed me slow down. Everything okay? Yeah, I said. That's my girlfriend over there, with her college friends. She followed my gaze. And the guy in the gray hoodie is? Her ex Dylan. Sarah didn't say anything dramatic, just nodded once. Want to keep walking or head back? Let's keep walking. We took the trail that looped behind their spot. Close enough to be seen, far enough not to look deliberate. I didn't wave or call out. Just kept talking to Sarah about the trail map like nothing was wrong. 20 minutes later my phone buzzed. Lauren, are you here? I showed Sarah the screen. Me. Yeah. Got a cabin last minute. Beautiful weekend for it. Lauren, with who? Me, Sarah from work. We both needed a break from the city. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Lauren, this is really immature. Ethan, me. How is it immature? You said it was a group trip with friends. I'm here with a friend. Lauren, it's different. You know it is. Me. I really don't. No immediate reply. When we circled back toward the beach an hour later, Lauren was standing by the fire pit alone, arms wrapped around herself. She watched us approach but didn't wave. Dylan was off playing cornhole with the others. Sarah and I grabbed a couple Adirondack chairs a respectful distance away, opened the beers we'd brought, and kept talking. Eventually Lauren walked over. Hey, she said quietly, voice tight. Hey, I answered. You having a good weekend? She glanced at Sarah, who gave a small polite smile. This is Sarah, I said. Sarah, Lauren. Nice to meet you, Sarah said. Lauren nodded but didn't reply, looked back at me. Can we talk for a minute? Sure. We stepped a few yards away, out of earshot. What are you doing here, Ethan? Enjoying the lake. Same as you. You followed me. I booked a cabin after you left. Didn't know exactly where your group was staying until I got here. You could have told me you were coming. You could have invited me in the first place. Or at least mentioned you'd be spending the whole weekend with Dylan. It's not like that. Then what is it like? She looked down at the ground. He's been helping me with a big freelance pitch. We've been working on it for weeks. This weekend was a chance to finalize some ideas in person. Over bonfires and kayaks. It's relaxed here. Creative energy flows better when you're not stuck in an office. I almost laughed. So all the late-night texts and long coffees were about this pitch too? Yes, mostly. Mostly. She didn't answer. Lauren, if you want to collaborate with him, fine. But don't tell me it's just a group reunion and then act shocked when I don't want to sit home alone while you spend a weekend with him. I didn't think you'd actually show up. That's the problem. You thought I'd just accept it. She wiped at her eyes quickly, like she didn't want anyone to notice. I need to get back. Okay. She walked away without another word. Sarah didn't ask for details when I sat back down. We finished our beers, watched the sunset, then headed to the lodge for dinner. Good food, live music, easy conversation. Around 10 we walked back to our cabin. I texted Lauren goodnight. No response. Sunday morning I woke up to a string of messages timestamped after midnight. Lauren, I can't believe you brought someone here just to hurt me. Lauren, everyone's asking who she is. It's embarrassing. Lauren, Dylan thinks you don't trust me, that I waited until after coffee to reply at me. I do trust you to make your own choices. I just don't have to like them. Me. And I didn't bring Sarah to hurt you. I brought her because I wanted to enjoy the weekend too instead of wondering what was happening up here. No reply. We spent the day hiking. Ran into the group once on a trail. Awkward nods, nothing more. That evening there was a big bonfire on the main beach. Sarah and I showed up late, grabbed seats on the opposite side. Lauren sat between Jess and Priya, staring into the flames. Dylan was next to Marco, laughing loud like nothing was wrong. At one point Lauren got up and disappeared toward the cabins. Didn't come back for over an hour. When she did, her eyes were red and puffy. She avoided looking in our direction. Monday morning Sarah and I packed up early. As we loaded the truck, Lauren appeared on the path. Can we talk before you leave? She asked. Sarah gave me a small smile. I'll wait in the car. Lauren and I walked down to the water. I didn't sleep, she said. I feel like everything's falling apart. What exactly is falling apart? This. My friendship with Dylan. The pitch we've been working on. He says he's not comfortable moving forward now. Why not? Because he thought. She trailed off. He thought what? That there might still be something between us. I never told him we were exclusive. I didn't want to make things awkward professionally. I stared at her. So you let him believe you were available while telling me I was controlling for not liking your weekend plans with him. I didn't mean to lead anyone on. I just didn't correct assumptions. That's still a choice, Lauren. I know. I see that now. She hugged her arms to her chest. I'm sorry. I messed up. Can we fix this? I don't think so. Please, Ethan. I'll tell him everything. I'll set real boundaries. I was scared if I shut things down completely I'd lose the professional connection. You were willing to risk our relationship to keep a door open with him. That's not fair. It's exactly what happened. She started crying quietly. I don't want to lose you. You already made choices that pushed me away. I'm not interested in being someone's safe option while they keep other possibilities warm. I walked back to the truck. Sarah didn't ask questions. Just reached over and squeezed my hand once as we pulled out. The drive home was quieter, but not uncomfortable. We stopped for lunch at a diner overlooking the lake. Talked about everything except the weekend. A week later Lauren called from a new number. I let it go to voicemail. She left a long message, apologizing, explaining how Dylan had backed out of the freelance project entirely once he learned we'd been exclusive for months. How some mutual friends were side-eyeing her now. How she realized she'd been selfish and manipulative. I didn't call back. Over the next few weeks, she reached out through friends, asking if I'd meet for coffee, talk things through. Each time I gave the same answer. She'd shown me where her priorities were. I wasn't interested in second place. Sarah and I kept hanging out. Coffee turned into dinners. Hikes turned into overnight trips. We took it slow, but it felt different, straightforward. No games, no vague explanations about late-night texts. Last I heard, Lauren lost the big freelance gig she'd been banking on. Word got around in their design circle that she'd blurred personal and professional lines in a way that made collaboration risky. Dylan moved on, started dating someone new within a month. Sometimes people ask if showing up that weekend was petty. Maybe it was. But it wasn't about revenge. It was about refusing to be the guy who waits politely while his girlfriend tests how much she can get away with. Lauren wanted to keep Dylan's interest alive for professional gain while keeping me steady in the background. She thought she could manage both worlds without consequences. Instead, both worlds saw the truth at the same time, around the same bonfire, under the same autumn sky. And when the smoke cleared, she was left with neither. I learned that secure partners don't demand control. They just refuse to stick around for dishonesty. They make their own plans, spend time with people who respect boundaries, and let the truth do the rest. Sometimes the clearest response to manipulation isn't a fight, that it's just living openly while the manipulator watches their carefully balanced plates come crashing down.